You getting me? So when they realized that, they started fighting each other because of our resources. What they did was, that was when Otto von Bismarck, the Chancellor of Germany at that time, called the European countries and brought America and said, guys, please, one day, one time, if you are not careful, these guys are going to wake up and ask themselves, why are these guys fighting in our land? And they'll chase us. So let's take our time. Let's look at this place. Who has more influence in this area? Who has more influence in that area? Who has more influence? So they started looking at the spheres, they call them spheres of influence. And they started drawing lines. Are you getting me?
Yeah.
And assigning these areas, spheres of influence, to those who had more influence in those areas. So if the British were more around here, they say, okay, now this one goes to Britain. Then they get to their next place. They say, even Kenya belongs to this. After drawing the lines, they need to identify them. They never consider, those lines were not drawn because of the African people. Those lines were drawn because of the resources that were there.
Are you calling for...
The things you are calling countries in Africa are resource zones.
Resource zones.
Zones. They zoned the continent up according to resources and shared it among themselves.
Are you calling for the abolition of boundaries now?
We can use them to our advantage, not to allow it to continue to limit us. Why am I saying that? That is what we are, where we are. That is our reality. We need to look at how to use it to our advantage, but not to use it to divide us. Because the purpose of the divisions is not about us. It's about, they were dividing resources. I want that point to be very clear. If you really, really want to translate Africa into what Europe has, then we should have people who come from a particular place and speak the same language as a nation. But that has been distorted. We need to accept that. Now we can use these boundaries to promote our development, but not to restrain us, not to divide us. Yeah, but we should just remove it from our minds.
The same as we're using English.
It's not bad for me to speak the Queen's language when the Queen cannot speak mine. Are you getting me? But we still need an African language. We still need an African language. I want to go back to the issue of the Berlin Conference. After they divided the continent, they had to find names for each of these spheres. Now for Kenya, they were like, what is the name of that mountain? Mount Kenya.
Mount Kenya.
Let's call this place Kenya. When they go to current Ghana, here there's a lot of gold. They even named a town Elmina. Elmina means the mine.
The mine.
Yeah, because they were getting a lot of gold from there, and they found the kingdoms have a lot of gold. The kings use a lot of gold. There were goldsmiths who were mining gold and doing different forms of our traditional jewelry. They named that place Gold Coast. They were getting ivory from Ivory Coast. Let's call this Ivory Coast. That is how these things we call countries were named. So from that day, and remember, like I said earlier, they were not made because of us. They were not created because of us.
Because of the resources.
Because of our resources. And every conversation on this earth, from the individual to the family, to the society, to the village, to the tribe, to the society, to the country, to the continent, every conversation is about resources. Our sovereignty lies in our resources.